The question that we have today is, does it matter? Does it matter if we believe the Old Testament stories?
Does it matter? Absolutely, it matters.
Yes, it
And
does.
but I understand. I think I understand where the question is coming from because there
Right.
are those who think that we don't need the Old Testament, or that the things that we read in the Bible sound like stories or fables or something like that.
Right. And I think that's kind of where we get into our issue, right? I think that's kind of where we get into our problem is the word story.
Yes,
Where some people don't really understand because they hear others say story and use it in that way. They think of it as fables, right? They
yeah,
think
or
of it
something
as
fictional or
something
something.
fictional, but not understanding that there's three uses of that word, right?
Okay.
There's three uses of it. You have that of which is fictional, an event or a story of somebody's life, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
fictional character. You have an account, right, which is
Mm-hmm.
of somebody's actual life. So that's you telling somebody's story, their life, and then there's also that of a building structure.
All right.
Three stories. You have three stories, three levels to a certain building and things like that. So there's three uses.
Yeah, in fact, and that's what you see a lot of times. It says the gospel according to
Hmm.
Matthew or gospel
Right.
according to Mark. And so
Right.
it's showing that life story of Jesus.
Right, exactly. And so one has to really we like to use that word account, right?
Yes,
We really like to use that word account because that lets us know it's without a shadow of a doubt a fact.
exactly. And the fact is, these are real people and
Mm,
real events.
right.
And it's important that we understand that. And here's one of the reasons I think why, because in Romans chapter 15, verse
Hmm.
4 says, "For whatever things were written before were written for our learning, that through the patience and comfort of the scriptures we might have hope." These things are written for us so that
Yes.
we will know that these are real people who have problems just like you and I do.
Absolutely. And 2 Timothy 3,
Hmm.
16 and 17
Yes,
lets us know that this is God breathed.
that's right.
That this word is inspired by him. It is given by him. So all of these things has to be true because God is true.
That's right.
And
That's
there's
right.
nothing that's false about him. And so, we have to be able to come to that conclusion. As you said, these things are written for our learning,
That's
right?
right. And if you believe in Jesus, that's what this is all about, is that we want to have faith in Jesus. Well, Jesus himself even verified people like, for example, Noah.
Hmm.
He mentions Noah, which says that's a real person. He talks about Jonah being in the belly of the fish 3 days. So that's
Right,
not, it's more than the about the fish.
right.
It's a real person. But we can have faith in the Bible because not only are these real people and real events, but there's also things that show the proof of the Bible. Like you look at
Right.
some of the Christian evidences that we like to use, for example, the Tel Dan inscription that talks about the house of David.
Absolutely.
You got the Pilate inscription, so it shows that Pilate was a real person. There's a
Hmm.
ton of that type of stuff that lets you know you can trust the Bible.
Right. And I think that one of the main purposes is to for us to see just how far we've come.
Amen. That's
When you
right.
begin with the Old Testament, you see how we from the very beginning of in the book of Genesis, the book
Hmm.
of beginnings, right? You see the creation, and you just come on through, and you get to see the history of how it all began and how God dealt with man, and
Yes.
how wicked man was, and how God had to continuously try to reinvent man and try to forgive him and try to get him on the right path. But
That's right.
so it brings us all the way through the scheme of redemption.
That's
It
it.
brings us all the way through leading up to Christ and just helping us to have that full picture, and helping us to know just how far we've come.
That's right. So is it important that we believe that the books of the Old Testament and all the stories we read are true?
Yes, 100%.